Let my building burn. Justice needs to be served. The police need to be arrested. Yeah, we lost our business or our building, but that doesn't mean we lost our community. Our community is here to fight for justice.
Hey, Yara here. So this is going to be a slightly different video from what I normally do. We don't normally cover the news on this show, but what's happening right now in America is so important that we couldn't not talk about it. People are angry, and rightfully so. The killing of George Floyd by Minneapolis police has sparked protests in dozens of cities all over the US. And some of those protests have led to buildings being burned down. But amid all of this, I was struck by this really powerful message I saw trending on Facebook. It was from a Bangladeshi Indian restaurant called Gandhi Mahal that burned down in Minneapolis. "Let my building burn," it said. "Justice needs to be served. Put those officers in jail." That response touched me and many others on the internet too. So I reached out to Ruhel, the owner of the restaurant, and his daughter Hafsa, who posted that message. What would you say to those other folks who might stop supporting the protests after seeing a building on fire?
I've seen some Facebook comments on our own things and some Facebook posts about other business owners who've lost their property and whatnot. And it's really sad to lose something you worked for. Trust, we know. But losing property and losing a life and many lives before that, and possibly even more lives in the future if there is no change, is worth losing property. You know what I mean?
Walk us through what happened.
The protests started, and then on Tuesday, things got a little more serious.
We treat animals better than we treat Black lives.
The riot police started showing up, and people were getting injured. And at one point, there was tear gas right in front of the restaurant. And one woman who was a medic asked if she could come in. She wanted to help people who were injured. And at the end of the night, my dad would feed them dal and rice, simple but very nutritious food.
We made a decision on the spot based on this is what we needed. Sometimes times tell you what to do.
Ruhel cooked for protesters for 3 days, but on the 4th day, a fire reached the restaurant and burned part of it down. He and his family were in shock.
I was angry at first, but then I calmed down because I realized what we're here for. I was sitting with my dad watching the news. That's when he said, let my building burn. Justice needs to be served. The police need to be arrested.
We can build a building, with the bricks and stuff. How about life? You're never gonna give this brother back to his family.
Yeah, we lost our business or our building, but that doesn't mean we lost our community. Our community is here to fight for justice.
Former Officer Derek Chauvin has now been charged with second-degree murder, and the 3 other officers who were with him have been charged with aiding and abetting that murder. Hafsa says she's glad charges were filed for all the officers.
The man who placed his knee on George Floyd's neck for 7 minutes straight is the person who murdered George Floyd, but those other 3 police officers were involved and could have done something.
And Ruhel recognizes that it's not just one bad instance, it's years and years of long-standing racial injustice.
People need to look deep why this thing happened from the beginning. We should not let this happen again.
Since George Floyd was killed on May 25th, protests have spread all over, to cities like Louisville, Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, and Washington, D.C.
The young generation, right, they're angry. There's reason to be angry. This is what happened our time.
Ruhel is no stranger to protests and police violence. He was part of the protest movement in 1990 in Bangladesh that brought down the authoritarian military government.
That was actually traumatized in what's happening, running around, this is seriously traumatized us when flashback came. That's why we were kind of prepared to help.
So since the fire, Ruhel and his family have started a GoFundMe. They say it'll help rebuild Gandhi Mahal so they can start serving their community again. I speak Persian. I know the word mahal or mahal, it means place. And I know in Hindi and Bengali.
A gathering place. Our culture, so gathering place means people is to gather there to have a conversation and dialogue and solve all our problems.
And then Ruhel chose the name Gandhi.
I was inspired by his nonviolence, he stood for people, diverse group of people together and be the change you want to see in the world. অন্যায়ের প্রতিবাদ করতে হবে, অন্যায়ের বিরুদ্ধে রুখতে হবে, দাঁড়াতে হবে, আইদার এটা বাংলাদেশে হোক আর আমেরিকায় হোক, দুনিয়ার যেই জায়গায় হোক, অন্যায়ের বিরুদ্ধে আমাদের সবাইকে দাঁড়াইতে হবে. Be the change you want to see in the world.